Hello from Honeysuckle Farm.
The one and only Honeysuckle Farm, TN. So we are on our evening walk up to go check on all the animals, specifically the cows, even though they're all up there. Since we are in our calving season right now, it's time to check them out, see if we're any closer to having some additions to our herd. Think that it should be this week sometime. Some of the early ones should probably calve. I mean, I know it's a couple of months, but some of them are absolutely huge right now.
You really think this week, though? They're not bagged up.
I do. I think it'll be about a week or so. How you guys doing? Ain't big? That's my good pig. That's my good pig. I know. We got a couple in here that are getting ready to give birth. These two are definitely pregnant. Wouldn't be too long for them. They're looking pretty bagged up as well. Of course, our little piglets are doing great, adjusting. Life on the outside. And here we go. It's close to them. Good.
They saw us. They're all on cow break. Laying down. You guys laying down on the job up here? Oh, Valentine says we got to get up. Hi, Brownie. Here's Brownie. Hi, girl.
And there's Tornado.
There's Tornado. You guys just taking naps in the hay today?
Valentine, you're way over there. Come on over. Be with the crowd. Look at you, 15. Look at her. She's so wide. She looks like a boat. There you go.
Hi, Goldie.
Here she's a big cow. What are you doing, baby cakes? Want to talk about it? Come on. Come to cow therapy.
Hi, Hershey. Hershey, Pennsylvania.
For those of you who have not been following Honeysuckle Farm for a long time, Hershey, Pennsylvania was our first cow born here on the farm. And he was a complete surprise. We actually had no idea that his mom was going to calf, and we went down there to check on the cows after dinner one evening, and boop, there he was, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Itty bitty little thing when you were born, and now he's our bull calf. Although don't tell him he's a calf, because he thinks he's all that and a bag of chips. He thinks he's like the greatest bull in the world right now, and he pretty much is, because, you know, he was born here. Sure. So, I have recently been participating at a friend's suggestion. I take a class called the Master Beef Producers class. It's offered here in Tennessee through the University of Tennessee's Agricultural Extension. And so far I've been to, 5 or 6 classes plus a field day. And it is not, if college were like that, I probably would have gone a lot further. You know, when I was a kid, my mom asked me what I wanted to do when I went to college, and I said I wanted to be a cowboy. She said there was no such thing. Here to prove you wrong. I'm taking college courses on cowboying, okay? But anyway, challenge accepted. Took the class, signed up for it, went to these 5 or 6 so far, plus the field day that they put on, and we are learning so much. I definitely suggest that if you're not in Tennessee, wherever you are, you research what's available for a Master Beef Producers class or anything like that. The amazing part to me is not only what I'm learning going through the class and who I'm learning it from and the way it's explained. Our classes actually have taken place so far in about 5 or 6 different farm locations, plus the agricultural center that the University of Tennessee actually maintains pastures and herds for, just specifically for this program and their agricultural research. So definitely recommend it. One of the other big things, though, and we'll get into some of the things I've learned, is that I'm fascinated by my classmates. I probably have close to 100 people in that class. And some of them are in the business with 40, 50 head of cattle. Some of them are in the business. In fact, I know one guy, I met him again last week, but we've been to their farm and they have 600 plus head of breeding cattle. It is their full-time job. It's what they do here in Tennessee. And he's even taking this class again. And it's this constant thing. If you really admit to yourselves in the homesteading and farming and agriculture, if it's crops, if it's cattle, is that we're all actually just committed to being students of our craft. The old expression, well, you need to be a master of your craft. The only way to truly master your craft is to never stop becoming a student of your craft. So it's impressive to me to see all these long-term, I'm talking sometimes generational farmers are in there retaking this class. And the different subjects that come up, whether that's fencing, the movement of our cattle, calving seasons. Do you have 1 or 2 seasons in a year? How long should those seasons be? What about the genetics of our herd? How do we want to promote docility into our breed? All of these different things that we go through, right down to how we're going to cut and work our cattle, down to the chutes design, and are we going to go with chutes or are we going to go with bud boxes, and how are we going to make it all work in order to get the best desired product that we want or best outcome we want in our particular beef situation. And yeah, some of them, most of the people in the class are Angus farmers or some big breed farmers. There's a couple people there that run miniature Herefords, and then you look at our herd and we're running the Dexters. And bringing that up to an instructor, he actually commented on the Dexters. He said, there'll be a time in the beef industry that he thinks soon that more people will actually turn back to this breed of cow. The big cows are great, but they also require big everything. They're big feed, big trailers, big weight, big everything else. And if you take the amount of time it takes to feed a cow all the way out and get it up to weight, you look at the meat quality that you get out of the cow and then the percentage of it, it all comes down to math for a lot of these farmers. They're trying to make this their only form of sustainment. And for that, the Dexter is a great choice. We went with the Dexters because it's a great choice for the Homestead. It's a heritage breed cow. We're not getting any bioengineering going on. On top of that, a fully grown out steer is going to be in the neighborhood of 400 to 600 pounds. And I know that that's a big window, but again, it all depends on the genetics of your particular line. 400 to 600 pounds walk-on weight. So if you take that animal, 400 to 600 pounds walk-on weight, by the time, if you have an operation set up on your homestead where you're truly looking for self-sufficiency, and you butcher that middle-of-the-road steer, it's going to be about a 500-pound walk-on weight. At about a 50% yield of hanging weight, that's going to give you about 250 pounds of beef. Well, if you have ever processed quadrupeds at all, then after you dispatch the animal, they'll remove the head, remove the skin, remove the guts, and you'll usually hang the animal and cut it right down the sagittal plane and hang 2 separate halves. With beef, of course, we want to age it until about 10% of that mass shrinks up. And that's a good amount of aged beef. These age out quicker, so we can actually process them less time. What do we mean by age out? It takes them less time for them to hang in that same cooler than it does for an Angus cow to hang by almost a third, just because the chunk of beef that you're trying to shrink down and have it lose some of its weight and age goes out quicker because the whole cut of meat is smaller. But now you're talking about, for the Homestead, you're talking about 150 pound half of beef or 125 pound half of beef hanging. That's a good single person lift. It's an easy on off with 2 people if you're just using meat hooks, if you're using a chain hoist or any kind of track system. And it allows a way for the independent homesteader to be able to take everything from seed to table, right? So you can breed your own cattle stock, you can raise them, they can feed them on the grass and on the crops that you're growing on your homestead. When it's time to butcher them, it's nothing for a 2-person job to be able to do that. We butcher hogs here on the farm. Thank you, Billy, by the way, from Perma Pastures. Thank you so much for all the wonderful teaching you've given us before on how to process our hogs. And we've turned around and opened up and had classes doing that and teaching hogs. We've butchered hogs where the side of pork is weighing 125 pounds. And I know it's very doable. We did 8 of those in one day, just us and a couple other families that came over to take the class. So we did 8 halves of 125 pounds. We did it in what, 4 to 6 hours with all of us working at it. Had a couple folding tables. We had cut teams going to get the primal cuts and then the sub-primal cuts going on. And we had teams over here grinding it down with a couple of grinders going. Other teams just packaging all this stuff. Boom, done. Same thing with one of these cows then. As long as you've got a place where you can hang your own cow for, now you're only talking about 10 days, maybe 12 instead of 21 days to age that beef out properly. That can be a good cold stretch in November, even if you don't have your own walk-in cooler or your own walk-in refrigerators or a place big enough to hang that side. The other option is, of course, to quarter the cows and then to find just an old refrigerator and put them in that refrigerator so that you can do it seasonally. These are all wonderful options that all circle around the fact that we don't have a 1,200 to 1,400 pound steer that we're trying to butcher. So that makes this a lot better of a choice than an Angus cow does for a small homestead. The other part is you're looking at, if we lose a cow out here on the field or we have some kind of emergency, now the vitality of that cow says that, okay, with this one cow, if something happens, it's of course going to be a loss, but now I'm not out 600 pounds of usable meat. I'm out maybe 150, 250 pounds of usable meat if something happens to one of my cows. Not all my eggs are in one basket out here on the homestead. I think another advantage to these guys is they're so docile. A lot of people will actually halter train their Dexter breeds, and it just becomes really easy to manage in that case. Your fence line can be a little bit shorter. Again, I'm learning a lot in this class from the UT Ag Extension on the fence lines. Of course, if you want to milk them, here's another advantage to running a smaller heritage breed of cow. How many of you maybe have considered getting a milk cow? I know that in our house, 50% of us have considered getting a milk cow. That 50% is holding the camera right now. And the reason I don't ever want a milk cow is, you think taking the dog out is bad or doing this is bad. You're going to be married to milking that cow every day or it's going to cause problems, sometimes 2 times a day for certain breeds of cow. And what do you do with 3 gallons of milk a day? We don't have a huge family, so that's more milk than we could produce. We don't want to get into the small batch milk and cream production business. But if we were to take one of these cows and halter it once it's time to wean, and then turn that into our milk cow, now we're getting anywhere from a half a gallon to a gallon a day of wonderful milk that now you're talking, that's a usable amount on a homestead for all the projects and all the consumption that we could want, whether that be for the cream to make the butter out of or cheeses. It becomes a way to be able to handle it on a much smaller scale like most homesteads are looking to do. So that's about it from the cows out here at Honeysuckle Farm. Hopefully, again, we'll be introducing you to some of our new ones very soon. And remember, keep growing. Till next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell button to get our notifications out here on Honeysuckle Farm TN. All right?